Hello and welcome to Wisconsin Literacy's winter conference session, Fast, Flexible, Free, Making eBooks with Google Slides with Lisa Perez. Wisconsin Literacy is a nonprofit coalition uniting more than 80 member organizations across the state to strengthen the power of learning in every community. Through collaboration, professional development, health, digital and workforce literacy programs and advocacy, we expand opportunities and build a more equitable, literate Wisconsin. We'd like to share a special thank you to our sponsors for helping support this conference. A couple housekeeping items are that this session is being recorded, and we would encourage you to please stay muted during the presentation to just help minimize some of that background noise. And please feel free to put any questions for the presenter in the chat, and we will get to those closer to the end of the presentation. And now I'm so pleased to introduce our presenter. Lisa Perez is a retired teacher, school librarian, and school administrator with experience in educational technology and professional learning. In retirement, Lisa continues to be active in education through tutoring, learners online and in person with the Baraboo Area Literacy Council and Fox Valley Literacy. Please join me in welcoming Lisa.
Thank you, Kimberly. Okay, let me get my slides shared here. Okay, well, let's get started. I have a little short survey at the beginning to just get a feel for who's here and why you're here. So if you could take a moment to fill that out, there's a QR code there or a short URL there. And let us know a little bit about yourself. And I'll switch over in just a minute to see the results. I'll just wait 15, 20 more seconds. Okay, let's go over to this. Let's look at the responses. Okay, not too many responses. So we only have two here. Instructors, one's in person, one's online. Oh, looks like we've got a few more here. There's kind of a split between teachers and level 1 and 2. And it looks like there's a good likelihood of people wanting to use ebooks in the next 6 months. So it looks like this is kind of refreshing in real time here. We now have 4 responses. Okay, we're getting more here. We have a program manager, program coordinator, a lot of instructors and tutors. And it's good. Our topic today works for in-person and online, so that's really good. Probably some more level 1, 2 students. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. Thank you for that. Okay. So this is our agenda for today. In a few moments, I'm going to give you a quick tour of the Literacy Tidbits website, which is where I store the ebooks and a lot of digital flashcards and other things that I use with my learners and that you're, free to use as well. Then we'll look at some sample ebooks, talk about a rationale, how to plan the story, and how to step in and create. We'll spend a lot of time on the mechanics of how to do it. And then at the end, we'll make an ebook together, something that will be available to you to use in the future. And as we go through the presentation, you'll get a few gifts. I'll be giving you a link to a bookbinding graphic slide deck so you can get a jump start. I'll also give you a playlist of some YouTube training videos I've created. And of course, you'll get a copy of this presentation. So a little bit about me. I tutor ELL students online and in person. I also, and that is again with Baraboo Area Literacy Council and Fox Valley Literacy. I also volunteer some time with Literacy Works, which is in Illinois, as a Tech Talk volunteer to help other tutors get used to using online technologies with their students. I'm a retired teacher, school librarian, school administrator, and former Google certified teacher. That's why you'll hear me talking a lot about Google. And we'll take a look at the website. And those are just some interests of mine. So more to come on that. Okay. Hopefully, many of you already have a Google account. If not, you can watch along today. But here is kind of a little slide on how to set up a Google account if you don't have one. So that will be available for you. Okay, we're going to jump off and tour the website, but I want to also draw your attention throughout the presentation. If you see a little movie camera icon, that means there is a short video related to that. So if you miss something, you don't understand something, or you want to review it again later, there are little videos that are 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes on each one of these discrete skills. So don't worry if you miss something. Okay, so so let's go and let's take a look at the Literacy Tidbits website. I started this several years ago, and it's just a Google site, nothing fancy, but let me show you if you want to see all the ebooks I have in the future, that at the top right here is a search bar that you can use, type in ebooks, and you'll be able to find the list of them. And then I have all kinds of um, other like digital uh, slides that here. I have games here and different things like that. Like this is one that I've been doing lately, affect versus effect. I put these up for my students. They all have audio with them, but you feel free to use them with your students if it helps you. You know, free to do that. Okay. So first, we're just going to skim through and look at a few ebooks to kind of give you an idea of it. So I'll be jumping in and out of edit mode today so I can actually demonstrate things rather than just show you a picture of them. So this first one is called Overheard at the Restaurant. But I want to show you that I use the ebooks as part of the larger learning model. So by the time they read the ebook, they will have already learned vocabulary and sentences, some verb conjugations. There's a self-grading quiz that they can take. But let's take a look at the ebook. We won't try to read the whole thing. Uh, so the premise of this one is that this man is a server at the restaurant and he hears all this range of emotions when he's serving people. And so we work in the vocabulary they've already learned, such as proud, envious. And again, if you notice, there's an audio button there so they can hear it if they're wanting to review it on their own. They can do that. So you got the idea of that one. Let's go back and do another one now. Okay, this is a Christmas one. Again, look, there's quite a few Christmas modules there. But this one is Santa's List. And so it's kind of familiarizing learners with the idea of what Santa Claus is in the United States and that cultural representation there so that you could play that song with them. And the premise of this one is about having the holiday spirit and helping others. So that's kind of fun. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, this one is embedded in a unit about the summer season. I have all 4 seasons up there, but they will have learned a lot about summer. There's also a game there, but we'll go to this. This is called the Summer Report ebook. And the premise of this one is that this is a high school senior who's a journalist for her school's newspaper. And so she's going around in the summer to see how her hometown celebrates. And obviously, it's teaching about what, some summer traditions in at least the four season part of the United States and quite a bit of it. So, and a lot of vocabulary that's kind of embedded in a story. So let's take a look at one more of these. Actually, I created this with another group of at another webinar, but in here's a module about learning about farm animals. And uh, oddly enough, the people in this were mainly from Illinois, but they helped us do this, and it's more of a Wisconsin ebook about dairy farms. And by, just to give a little bit of vocabulary, we have a lot of rural areas in our state. And so, they can see certain vocabulary used. So you get the idea. That is also available on the website. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Oops, hit a link there. Oh, okay. I also want to show you, these are new that I didn't have before. Um, I have these leveled ebooks. I will say it's not like it's somewhat leveled, but there's probably somebody with a doctorate in education who could do a way better job than me. But you know, some vocabulary for our very level one students, and using like short A, short E, and so on. Let me show you one more. There's 10 of each up to level three. So the level three is problem solving skills and kind of getting along and functioning and things, problems that you may hit in, just living life. Rents going up, what do they do? Do they move or do they stay and save money some other way? So those are there. And one more thing I want to show you is the 5 minute joke ebooks. I currently have 20 of them. I can add to them. But, you know, learning a language is very intense. And sometimes maybe a student hasn't done that well, or they're not feeling good about themselves, or they're just tired for a minute. So the idea of the 5 minute jokes is to give a little break to do something fun, to tell jokes, because there's no pressure. Nobody expects them to have to know the answer to the joke, but it's a little refresher, like why was the cat sitting on the computer? It wanted to keep an eye on the mouse. And learners tend to really like these. They find humor in them. And humor, I think, when you're learning another language, is one of the most difficult things to get. So it gives an opportunity to talk about, why that's funny and how a word can mean more than one thing. So, like I said, I have 20 of those right now. So that kind of shows you a little range of ebooks available. So let's take a little closer look at this one. Has sprung. This one's part of the unit about spring. Okay. And may take, oh, there it was. Okay. So the premise of this one is Freddie is a delivery person and he's going to visit all these people, and we're learning about signs of spring as he delivers to people. So, talk about daylight savings time. Not every country may celebrate that, so it's a good time to talk about it. Mowing grass. Some countries you come from, that may not be a universal experience. Um, Going to the park, doing yoga, planting gardens, uh, ground squirrels or chipmunks, and the idea of hibernation, spring showers, starting to take care of the lawn, the bushes, the gardens, butterflies, magnolia blossoms, bees, birds, deer, and so on, baseball. And so that kind of gives you an idea, and they all have audio with them. So they're actually e-audiobooks. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, so why use Google Slides compared to word processing software? These are my reasons for it. It's easier to move text and images around. You can just drag and drop. The document is stored in the cloud, so it's always saving. You don't lose your work. You can easily add multimedia components, audio, video, images. You can create custom sized slides. Once in a while, some people like to print these out, and so I'll talk about that a little later. Um, and you can easily share with others. I'll talk towards the end about sharing your documents. Okay, and just to be aware, ebooks can be viewed online on any device. Even if it's a phone, that's fine. I tell my students if you're sitting in the doctor's office waiting to be called, you can pull up your phone and go through, review something we've talked about. It can be done offline, but if there's multimedia in it, it might not work. You can also download it as a PDF. And so here is how the steps for viewing offline and downloading. I'll show that again a little bit later, but it's under File, Download, and then you can pick the way you want it, or File, Make Available Offline. Ebooks can be teacher created, student created, group created. Mine are teacher created because I only meet with students one-on-one individually, and they're all different levels. But if I was working with a group of students, you could have fun with that. One thing I haven't personally done, but it would be a nice ebook idea, is to go around your community, take pictures of some of the major sites that would be nice to know about, parks, schools, library, etc., and put it together in an ebook. Or you could have your students take pictures of this or that and bring it and put it in one large ebook as well, as long as you address the privacy issues. So the first thing you want to do is plan your story in your. I usually start mulling it over in my mind first, but definitely, here's some ideas with it. Build on previous learning. So as I showed you, we don't just do an ebook, but they've already learned the vocabulary and concepts. And it helps to build context and wrap it around a story. Human beings are often storytellers. That's almost a universal idea of telling stories. So that's why ebooks work very well. Consider the learner's level of English proficiency, so you aim for the right level. Many of my ebooks tend to be level 3, so it can go down a little or up a little, with added support sometimes. And it provides cultural context to help explain the idea better. Story considerations. Do you want the story to be fiction, nonfiction, autobiographical? Maybe students make their own autobiographical ones. Appropriate links. My ebooks tend to be about 10 to 12 pages of the story itself, but it's up to you. One thing you want to do, since these are like picture ebooks, you want to stay away from juvenile concepts. You definitely want it to be for an adult, but the idea that it has pictures with it really helps to aid in comprehension. So make sure it's appropriate for adults. And your available multimedia informs the story. One thing that's really helped me a lot is having the ability to generate AI photos. Um, I I've had really good luck lately with Nano Banana Pro. That's been really good because I can use the same person throughout, and it keeps the face. So that's worked well for me. But you have to have the multimedia to do it. And how will the text and visuals aid in comprehension? Thinking about that. Okay, now we're going to get started. This is the demo part of the presentation. And um, I'm certain many of you may have some familiarity and have done a PowerPoint before, or Google Slides, or some other slides. We're going to look at this through the lens of being artistic and having design. So maybe look at some skills that you are not, that you maybe haven't used before. So it's a little bit different take on things here. So one of the first things that you'll do is you'll select design elements that are going to work with that story. So if it's a farm story, I might have barbed wire, or if it's a winter story, I might have snowflakes or something like that. So you'll have a gift here of a design elements collection. Let me show you how that's going to work. Um, let's see here. Where did I? Yeah, let me see if it pops up here. There we go. So it's going to ask you to make a copy. Say yes, you want to make a copy. And it'll show up in your Google Drive, drive.google.com with your login. And I just have all of these different slides here that are kind of starters for you. They have like binding on the left of some kind and some kind of background. There's 20 of them here. So feel free to, what you would do is you would say you like this one. You copy it, this particular one, and then you can paste it into a new slideshow that you're creating to make your ebook. Okay. So let's continue on here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a few of these. You'll probably see me looking at my notes. So I'm going to go through a few of these here, and then we're going to actually demo it. So we'll talk about page size. A tip I have for you is after you complete the setup of one slide, you can copy and paste it for all the slides in the ebook, or you can alternately do view and theme builder if you want to. But don't reinvent the page every single time. That takes too long. Okay, we're going to look at how to do background colors and patterns. Undo and redo buttons, we'll look at that. How to insert text boxes and what you can do with a text box. And we'll look at fonts and how to do that. So, and then we're going to look at the eyedropper tool. I love the eyedropper tool. Okay, so I've got this little starter slide deck here. I'm not going to make an ebook with it. This is just for demonstration purposes. But first, let's look at file at the page size. So under File, you go down to Page Setup if you want to. I just use the default for mine, but if you wanted to, you can play around with that. I might go with the default 16 by 9, but there are other options there. You could do custom. I've seen people do 8.5 by 11 so they can print it out in inches. So I'll cancel that. Okay, so let's look at backgrounds next. Now, I already have a background here, so I'm not going to change that. But what you want to do is click off the slide. If notice up here, the toolbars change according to what you're clicking on. So if I'm in a text box, I get one toolbar. If I'm in an image, I'll get something else. Then I click out of it. And notice that I now have a background image option up here. So I'm going to hit background. And I just want to point out to you that you can select a color for the background and it will apply to all the slides. They do have gradient as well. Um, or I can choose an image. So if you have an image on your computer or the web, you can look for it and do that as well. I'm not going to do that right now, but that's how you would save time by just applying the background to every page in your ebook. Okay, and right up here at the top left are very important buttons. I use them all the time. undo, redo. So you really can't go too wrong. If you think you messed something up, you did not. You can do several undos, you can do several redos to go back to where you were. Just keep that in mind. There's never a reason to panic about anything. Okay, let's talk about inserting text boxes. That's like a major skill within creating the ebooks. You may be familiar with that already, but just in case, we're going to go to Insert Text Box. And you draw it wherever you want it, but be aware you can drag it and move it around wherever you want to. I'm going to have this be the title slide, so I'm going to call this ebook Signs of Winter. And notice I can make it use these edges here, these corners to change the size of it. So we've got that. Now, let's talk about editing it. Notice if I'm not clicked in the text box, if I'm clicked on something else, I won't have it anymore. So make sure you're clicked into the text box. And the first thing I like to do is get it where I want it. So I'm going to highlight it. And over here at the right is the alignment part of the toolbar. So I really like to usually usually put it in the middle and put it in middle both ways, vertically and horizontally. And then the next thing I usually like to do is, well, I usually keep the font on Arial, but just to make it easier to read, because I want the students to be able to not be distracted by super fancy fonts. But you can change the font if you want to there. And right next to it is you can change the size of it according to what you want. You can boldface it, um, italicize it, underline it, and so on. Now, here is the color for it. You can also highlight it, but here's the color for it. So you can pick any of these colors, um, make it whatever color you want. But what I really like is the eyedrop tool in here, which is right under custom. So I'm going to click that eyedrop, and then I can go around and find a color that I'm already using somewhere, on the background. And now it just looks a little more finished, a little bit better, a little more artistic, that I'm kind of matching the colors. And then be aware that if you want to use that color again, now it's up there under custom. It saves it. So you have it there for another slide. Oh, and I just want to point out that there is a bullets feature here. So we have uh, there's spacing, which I usually don't touch the spacing, but it's there. But there are bullets, there are numbers, and you can use those if they fit with your ebook. I don't use that too often. Um, okay, so let's go back to the presentation. And we are going to go down to, there we go. I want to make sure. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's do another section here. The next thing I want to talk about is layers and visibility. That is so important because things get frustrating. You think, oh, I can't see this, I've lost this. You think you put a text box and it's hiding behind a photo that you put in and you think it's gone. And so that was an important thing to notice. Look, again, I want to just point out that I have these movie cameras throughout. So there is a short video on layers and visibility if you're interested in it. So I'll show you that in a couple of minutes, how to do that. But notice here, you want the word macaw to be on top of the picture of the macaw, not behind it. So that shows how important it is. Okay, we're going to talk about filling and transparent fill on, especially on text boxes. That's kind of important. I'm going to show you about recoloring objects. I use that every once in a while. It's really cool. I'm going to talk to you about inserting shapes and speech bubbles, adding borders to images, adding fonts and word art, and using a font generator. Okay. Um, okay. Let's jump back over here. Okay, so here we have a slide with layers and visibility. So uh, let's say I want to put in a text box, um, or let me see how this plays out. Yeah, so let's say I have some words here and they are kind of buried behind the picture of the snowman, but I want the words to come up front. So what I can do is I can right click that and go to order, and you have options. In this case, send backward or all the way to the back. In other cases, it'll be forward or all the way to the front. So I'm going to send it all the way to the back. Oops, that was too far back. So there's my undo. I'm going to send it backwards a little bit here because it went behind the white thing. So I may have to do that a couple times. There we go. Okay, so now I have the snowman there and I can see that. Um, I'll bring it right there. But here I don't really see the word snowman, right? It's kind of blending in with the picture. So another trick of what you can do is you can fill it. So I'm going to make sure I click on the text box and go up to the bucket here, which is a fill color. And I'm going to pick a fill color. In this case, I'll probably just do white. Now it pops out and you can see it. Also, I can go to this border color icon. It looks like a little pin. And if I want to put a border on it, I can do that. I can pick a border weight. And I can pick, like, if I want dots or dashes or something, I could do that as well. So that's another kind of fun thing to do. Okay. Um, just making sure here. Oh, yep. So let's go over to recolor objects. Here we have a snowflake. Sometimes you want a different color on it. So make sure, first of all, I make sure I'm clicking on the snowflake, and then you'll have an option here for format options. I'm going to go over to recolor. And you click on that and you can change the color of the snowflake. It doesn't work for every image, but it works for a lot of them. So that's another fun thing to do, which I've done in other ebooks as well. Um, want to make sure I'm not missing any. Next, let's go to the speech bubbles. So sometimes you want your people talking in your ebooks. So let's see how to do this. So these two people are having a snowball fight. Watch out, let's have a fun snowball fight. So he's going to respond. So I'm going to go up here to insert shapes, and you can put any kind of shape you want. In this case, I'm going to do call outs. And they have thinking bubbles and they have speech bubbles. So I'll take a speech bubble, I'll put it over here by him, and I'll drag the little pointer so it's going towards his mouth. And um, and he might say something like, "Okay, just don't hit my face" or something. I don't know. Okay. So that's how you can have your characters in your ebooks talking to each other. That's kind of fun as well. Okay, let's talk about word art a little bit here. Um, let me get rid of this one. Okay, another fun thing you can do that's artistic is insert and go down to word art. And you can put something like icicles. And it just makes a fancier type of image. You can also change the font on that. You can change the fill on it. I think you can on the, yes, you can change the fill on it. You could change the size on it. You can make it, drag it to whatever shape you want. So that's another kind of fun one that I like to do a lot. Also, I want to show you how to add fonts. So let's insert a text box here. And let's say we're getting tired of Arial. And in fact, right up here is it, by clicking in the text box, I'll have my font. And maybe I'm tired of every font that I have. So what I'm going to do is go up here to more fonts, and then I'm going into the Google Font Store, or it's free. But the ones that are checked are fonts that I already have in my account, but you can pick other ones. Let's say I like that one. If I didn't want something, I can remove it too. But let's say I want that Archivo one. So um, uh, they're dripping and cold. That sounds like icicles. So that's another way you can add even more fonts and get more artistic with your ebooks. That's another fun little tip there. And one more I want to show you. Um, there's a website I recommend called fontgenerator.art. There are a lot of online font generators, but this one I like because it's not a static image. It's a true font. So you type in what you want. Maybe I want snowball fight here. And then they have all these fun little fonts that changes sometimes. Let's say I want this one because it kind of looks like snowballs, right? So it's copied to my clipboard. I go back and paste it in. And now let me move it where we can get it a little better here. Now you can change the size of it. You can change the color of it. Maybe I want it to be the blue that I've been using. So that's kind of fun. So that's just a website I recommend. Okay. And if I wanted to add a link, here, let's say I wanted to do www.literacytidbits.org. As you click in it, it creates a link right away. Um, if I want if I want an image, like if I want this snowflake to link to something, I highlight it and I go up to this link icon, and you can have a link you can put the where you want it to link to. And so an image can also be a link. Okay, so that's a little bit fun. Okay, let's jump back to the slideshow for one more little round of things here. So I talked about the links already. There is a video about that. In a moment, we're going to talk about adding images. And let's read through this though. More about images. Definitely, as you're creating the ebooks, I think everybody knows this. Avoid bias, be inclusive to represent a wide range of people. Sometimes subconsciously, you can kind of go to what is familiar. And so you want to be aware of that. And be aware that when you're searching, there are biases built into the search. So sometimes I've been at places where it's showing me mainly white men. And so I have to say, I want this multicultural, or show me a black woman or a Muslim man or something, just to make sure that there's no bias. And make sure you get different ages, ethnicities, religions, orientations, abilities. These are some free royalty sites. I use 123RF, but I don't necessarily recommend that because I pay for that. And because I do a lot of this, you don't need to necessarily do that. But they do have a free section of photos too. And don't forget, you can use your own photos, things you take, like if you're going to do a trip around town or something like that. That's always nice. I'll show you about adding video in a moment. And we're not going to talk a lot about adding audio because that's almost a little webinar in itself. But I just want you to be aware I do have a playlist for it. I recommend Audacity. It's free, open source. I've been using it for years. And for my purpose, which is just recording and creating a file, it works fine. So just be aware that there is a video there to support you on that. And then we'll look at page turn animations. We won't do a lot about creating a table of contents, but there is a video about that in case you want to. My books are never long enough to do a table of contents. And then we'll do sharing links in just a moment. Okay, so let's go back to kind of our workaround thing here. And okay. So the first thing I want to show you is about adding images. And let me take a drink of water. I'm getting a little dry here. Okay. Insert. And there you can see there's a lot of different options here, but we're going to go to the first one, image. You can upload it from your computer, which is what I usually do, but you can also use stock and web, something in your Google Drive, your camera, or by URL. Uh, what I recommend for what the activity we're going to do in a few minutes is stock and web. And it'll bring up Google Images here. There's stock images, Google Images. They do make warn you to make sure you have the license to use it. Usually, if you're just using it for a small group, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that would fall under fair use. Check that for yourself, you know. But let's go to stock images here. And let's say I want to search for uh, an igloo. I don't know. People like to build those in their yards. So let's say I wanted to insert that. Okay, once it's inserted, I can resize it. I can move it around. And it's just that simple. That's how you insert it. Okay. Let's do the same thing with a video. Insert video. And it could be on YouTube, or if you have a video in your Google Drive, you could use that. So let's try the snowball fight. I have no idea what we'll get here. I don't know. Maybe we won't do that because it looks like I don't, yeah, I think we won't do that, but you get the idea that you can go into YouTube and you can insert a video. Usually I recommend short clips. You know, you don't want something long, and you might not want it in an ebook at all. Okay, just want to point out, like you can put a border in it. If you want to have a border on that, you can do it just to make it stand out. You can also crop it. So I can click on this, and let's say I want to make it smaller. I can drag that up, hit return, and now it's cropped. So be aware that you can crop it. Okay, good. I think we got everything there. Now let's do page turn animations. So making sure you're clicking, outside of the outside there. Um, let's go back to the first one. We're going to go to transition. And this is to get the page turn animations. Google Slide does not have a true page turn. So I do that it comes from right to left. So I'm on transition and I'm going to say slide from right. You can make it faster, slower, but the main thing you want to do is say apply to all slides. And then over to the left, you see these little loops here, and that tells you that when it is played, it's going to move from right to left and simulate the idea of page turns. Okay, very good. Oh, and even though we're not putting the audio in today, If you decide to do that, insert audio, and you can go to any little audio files you have in your drive and put that. Sometimes at the end of my games, not my ebooks, but my games, I have the sound of clapping hands, and they love that. They love to have the game clap for them. So that's fun too. Okay. Um, just a couple more things here. So once you're done, by default, what I'm going to do here, let me slow down a little bit here. I'm going to show you how to share the ebook with your students or anybody else who's going to read. We go to the top right here to share. By default, it's set to be private to you. And you can share it with specific people at the top here. But what I recommend you do is set it so anyone with the link can be a viewer. Anyone with, and that way they can't change it. Now, the ebook we're going to have today, I have it so that anybody can edit. But that's what I recommend. Then you copy the link, and that's the link you give to this, you can give to the students. Actually, I'll show you, there's something that I even prefer rather than that to give to them. Again, I mentioned about downloading. So let me show you that file and download. Again, you could download it like if you wanted as a PDF for some reason to have a hard copy, you could do that as well. Okay, let's jump back over here. I think we're about ready for the activity. Okay, so next we're going to do an ebook together. So in a moment, I'm going to show you this kind of mock-up of the snow day. And you have two tasks or three actually tasks. So there's a lot of blank slides in there. And you're going to be tasked with finding a photo, inserting an image, and writing a sentence or two. So let me first show it to you. I'm going to grab this link here and put it in chat. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, there we are. Okay. So there's the link to the book, but let's jump in and take a look at it together. Okay. Let me get that out of the way. There we go. So this is kind of a mock-up. This is a story about a kid who has a snow day. You know, in Wisconsin, we get delighted with those. So Jason's in fifth grade. So we're not going to be typing on this slide. We want Jason to stay there. But as you see, there's a lot of blank slides here. So he's going to be talking about what he sees he and everybody else around him doing for snow days. So your challenge will be to find an empty slide and insert a photo like this. I'm on ice skating, so I would go to insert image, and I would do stock and web, and I would search for ice skating, and I would get, and I'm just going to pick the first one that comes up. You can add, you can put a border around it, you can crop it, you can do whatever you want to with it, resize it, move it around, and then do a sentence like ice skating is a fun activity on a snow day. And you can play around with changing the font, changing the color of the font, moving it wherever you want it to be. I think we have enough empty slides for everybody. In fact, I'll take this one off. So if anybody really wants to do ice skating, they can. And have at it. Find an empty slide. I think at the bottom, I even have more empty slides. There's a couple of story starters here, like he's shoveling the snow. So it talks about things you might do for work on a snow day. Here he's having a pizza lunch with his mother, so leave that one alone there. But that's kind of like to anchor us into the story. Oh, somebody's already doing the fireplace. Great. And then towards the end, it's the last, they're having dinner together, the family, they're having soup and bread and that kind of thing. So I'm going to leave you to it for maybe 5 minutes or so. Feel free to do more than one. When this presentation is over, I'll try to polish it up a little bit, and then I'll put it at the website with the winter section. So, by tomorrow you can search, and there will be an ebook that we created together, on the topic of the snow day, which may be a novel concept for some of your learners. While I'm giving you a little time here, uh, I'm not sure if Kimberly or Jamie, did any questions come up that we should address?
I don't think there are any questions, just a lot of great comments.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to think of everything you might think of, and we do have the videos there. So if anything seems confusing, and I'm retired, so please, if you want to go over something with me, I'm going to have my contact information at the end. And feel free to contact me and say, Lisa, can we practice this together? I'd be happy to do that.
And I want to assure everyone one more time that this is being recorded and we will share the slides and the recording on our website.
Hmm. So after you've done one, feel free to do two. I'm just looking at what people are doing. If for some reason you aren't in a place where you can do this now, please just follow along with what everybody else. So of course, we know some of our people, some of our young people like to play video games if they have a snow day, right? Okay. Oh, this is great. Looks like some are in process. Oh, this one's the s'mores, I think. That looks fun. Oh, somebody got a video. I haven't done it with ebooks, but I have put little gifts in before. Like at the end of a game, I'll have a dancing stick man doing like a celebration dance. So you can have a lot of fun with these. And if you're in a position where your students can do it together, like in a computer lab or somehow do it together, you could probably do things I haven't even imagined. I'll bet you could come up with some great ideas. But I will tell you, the ebooks, they kind of break the monotony of course, I love to do workbook pages and other structured activities, but sometimes you just want to hear a story and take the pressure off and do something a little bit of fun. So learners really like the ebooks. Okay, that was good. Let's see what else is popping up. Oh yeah, Jason has a dog named Verna. Ah, great. That's a great idea. And eating the snow. Okay, I'm a cat person. Do the dogs eat snow? They probably do. Just looking what we have here. The ebooks themselves are not that difficult. It's the idea of just bringing it all together and using your expertise about the learner, about the, vocabulary that needs to be done, the tenses of the sentences, what's been introduced already, and maybe bringing in that cultural aspect. That's why I have ebooks around the holidays, and jokes and that kind of thing. Because really, as the tutor, as the teacher, you're bringing in your expertise to it. And that is something that only, you're the one who knows your students. Oh, great. Identifying animal prints. That's great. I love that. Ice fishing does not look fun. I agree with you totally. Especially if there's no shanty or shelter. I mean, I wouldn't do it anyway, but I know I'm only 4 miles north of Devil's Lake, and there's always a lot of ice fisher people out there. So other people love it. They love to do the cross country skiing, and I'm a few miles from Cascade Mountain if you've been over this way. So we have always have a lot of skiers and oh, sledding. Yes, yes, yes. They love sledding. We're getting some great photos here, some great words here. And I like the fact that you are using your expertise with the vocabulary and sentences that you're developing. And I think we have we'll take 2 more minutes, and then I want to at the end give you my contact information. So, of course, you can keep working on it longer too if you want to.
And
The question in the chat, what happens if students don't have Gmail? How would they interact on the slide?
Well, anybody, that's a good question. You don't need Gmail to read the ebook, you know. So so anybody can access that. If they didn't, you know, um and didn't want to get it, you I would do that maybe as activity together. You know, and I should, one thing I didn't mention before is I would never just throw an ebook link at a student and say, oh, you're on your own to read it. It's something we can use to talk about and look at together so you can actually build it together. But they are able to look at it without a Gmail. And good question there. Okay, I'm going to jump back, but you can keep working. I'm going to go back to the slideshow here. And this is just my last slide here because you will be getting the link to the presentation. That's my email in case you want to get in touch with me. And I do have here a link to a YouTube playlist with all of these um, uh, little videos that we use today specifically for ebooks. So you don't have to search through everything. Just go to that one playlist that it'll be there. If you want to take on adding audio with Audacity, there's a short playlist for that. And if you just want to see, you know, what videos I have available, there's a link to the channel as well. So with that being said, you know, I'm pretty much wrapped up here. But Jamie, is there anything else?
Nothing in the chat. Nope, I think I'll just toss it to Kimberly to close us out.
thank you so much, Lisa. This was just fantastic. Oh, that was a lot of fun to work on the ebook at the end. All right. Well, thank you all for attending today's session.